Hello everyone, welcome back to the next episode of our little playthrough here. We've just entered the Renaissance through astronomy. Actually looking forward to building our first world wonder soon.
Yeah, actually, that's something that we should consider. We're not working our workshop in our capital, are we?
We are not, no.
So we're probably not getting an engineer. We
Maybe
probably won't get.
scientists in 7 turns, yeah, I know.
We probably weren't getting an engineer anyway, honestly, because we don't have any engineering points and our workshops weren't amazingly early. Yeah, and also our tech path isn't very conducive to world wonders.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's none on astronomy.
Arabia's already building Sistine Chapel, so...
Yeah, and if we look at banking and printing press, although we don't have patronage, so we're not getting forbidden. Is anyone in printing press yet? Not yet.
Don't think anyone is, no.
We might be able to sneak in printing press, maybe, but we're going to have to hard build it. So with that in mind, I think we want to head to our ironworks next on machinery, because I don't think we're getting Alhambra or Notra off chivalry or physics.
Yeah, they're already gone, so yeah. So do we go for the observatory here now?
Yes, I think we do.
There's still market and temple left to build here.
So I think the observatory is more important.
Okay.
I'm not sure that we're even going to get the fate for our great engineer, to be honest. Yeah, 670. It's going to get a bit late. I'm trying to work out how greedy we can be with our Colosseums. We really wanted to build them as late as possible. So what I'm looking at is we're growing in Munich in 2 turns, in Cologne in 2 turns. Hamburg will be protected happiness point. It'll be the 10th. And Berlin will also be protected because it's an odd number in the capital.
Munich as well, right? Oh, is it just in the capital with the odd numbers?
Yeah, just the capital. Basically, we're going to lose 2 happiness. We're going to be at 1, and it won't be too long until we grow again.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is we probably need to finish the Colosseum in Hamburg. It's going to give us access to, well, actually, Cologne's a long way away from getting a Colosseum, which means that we can't get access to Circus Maximus very easily. So we're definitely going to run short of happiness here at some point. The next major source of happiness is going to be on our ideology, which we're a ways away from. I think we have to just build these Colosseums, unfortunately. So during the break, we radared around. We weren't able to find any barbarian camps. I'm tempted to hold them just so that we can get quicker railroads late game.
Production, we don't have a workshop here yet, so...
That's not too bad. 6 turns is not too long.
So what is the next order of business in our capital?
It's definitely culture. It's definitely going to be Writers Guild into Artists Guild. We've hit a really nice timing getting into the Renaissance before we've expended a cultural policy on a military. So we can open rationalism here.
That's a no-brainer.
The reason that we've been able to do that is mostly because our culture is so bad as opposed to our science being so good. So we definitely want to crank up as much culture as we can right now. So yeah, definitely Writer and Artist Guild in the capital.
Does it make a difference? No, it's 4 turns either way.
So the Writers Guild is cheaper in terms of production. So I usually build the Writers Guild first. I think the Artist Guild is actually better for us in terms of the yield that it gives us in the long term. The production and the gold and the culture is better than just the straight culture, because the culture from the artist will also increase the culture of the writer. If you think about the way that they'll spawn the writer and the artist, what we're going to do is we're going to hold them until we get to Hermitage, if we get to Hermitage, and then we'll pop the artists, and then 8 turns after the artists we'll pop the writers. So it's definitely worth keeping that in mind as well. If we were to be only popping a single artist, the Golden Age would only last 6 turns, and I believe the writer bulb is based on 8 turns of average culture. So in that case, we'd want the writer first. Otherwise, the Golden Age would end before the writer was spawned. We don't need to worry about that here, because I think we're going to hold them until we're popping like 2 or 3 at once.
Yeah, I agree. Do we want to be friends with this guy?
So we do, depending on how France and particularly the Celts feel about him. It doesn't cost us anything to say no now and then offer him friendship on our turn, and I think he will accept. So I think we can do that.
They covered lands that you currently own. Okay, so it's that way around. So it's not too bad for us.
No, so that means that...
Yeah, sorry.
That's worse. So that means that we're going to have to build some military. We've been pretty greedy for this long.
Yeah.
All right. So first thing I think we do, let's dump our gold into our spearmen and upgrade them both. And then I think we'll cycle them back towards the Celts as well. We need to work out if Celts and Iroquois are buddy-buddy. Because if they are, friending Iroquois is a good idea. And if they're not, it's a terrible idea.
Okay.
That's pretty much a way to guarantee that the Celts war us.
Okay, so how do we find that out?
I think if you go to F4, and then go to global politics. I think it would tell us if Iroquois and Celts were allied with were friends with each other, I think, on the screen.
It would.
So they're not. I thought there was a tooltip somewhere where you could hover over either one of them and it would tell you, but it doesn't seem like there's anything there. Is there anything in the discussion? If we go to the trade screen, like if we trade with Celts and go to discuss.
So we can actually do that in trade. So we can do it like this.
See if they want to.
Yeah, they don't want
Alright, we don't have a lot to offer them, but it also says that they're not like super willing to attack them right now either. I think we're gonna bring our pikes back, and I think after our artist guild or our riders guild, which is 3 turns, we can just build a couple of units.
Yeah, should I maybe jot on the fortress here?
We're probably not going to hold that tile, so it's probably just giving them a free pillage. We're probably just going to plant our 2 pikes on our 2 hills and then line up some crossbows behind them. That would have been a reason to not tech for machinery quite so quickly, so we could have built some comps and upgraded them, but we also didn't have a stack of gold either. Yeah, so I don't think we can friend Iroquois because we can't sort of ascertain how the Celts feel about them. We can work our artist guild now. Plus 20 is about the minimum you want to be in your capital, I would say. I would say you want to grow at least once every 6 turns. And I'd say we're probably growing slower than that next turn.
So concerning the capital population, so I think it was PCJ Law who said that it's like you should aim for like 20 pop ish at turn 100. Do you think so as well, or do I have something mistaken here?
Honestly, I don't really think about the game in terms of benchmarks like that.
Okay.
Because you basically want it to be as big as you can make it by turn 100. The value in a benchmark like that is assessing your position in the game, right? In a multiplayer game, that's a little bit more relevant. Against the AI, it's not so relevant. Where are we in terms of tech? If we look at the demographics, still last.
But it's like we're too
only
far behind.
5. So right now we're behind, but I would expect by the time we hit public schools, I'd say we're going to be first. And I'd say that we're never going to fall below first after that. The AI really drops off sort of from this point forward. There's a few reasons for that. The biggest reason is most of them won't have picked tradition.
Yeah, I don't think anybody did.
I think someone did, because otherwise we would have.
Obviously, he built Tangy Gardens. Egypt did, but so France took honor and aesthetics, Egypt took tradition, aesthetics, and exploration, and Arabia went full piety aesthetics, as did the Celts, and Hiawatha went piety and patronage.
Yeah, so and you can see that because Egypt picked tradition and they're tech leader. Like, it's really quite stark. The next big thing is that none of them are going to pick rationalism. They're all going to finish the secondary trees that they've already started, and then only after they've done that they may consider picking rationalism. So our science is going to explode relative to theirs. I think 20 pop at this point is fine, but I'm also not thinking about it that way. Like, if I could be 25 pop, I'd be 25 pop. If I could be 30.
I may have remembered it wrong now that you said it was like at least 20 pop at turn 100. So it's not like the aim for 20 and not like 25. He said like you should at least have 20 pop at like turn 100 in your...
Yeah, and I think that's a fine rule of thumb. I think the other one that I hear a lot is science per turn. I've heard a lot of different ones. I've heard 100 science per turn. I've heard 150. I've heard 200. But that's not a very good measure either, because your science is so exponential. So like before we finished our universities, our science was like 80 or 90 or something. And then 5 turns later, it's 165. Yeah. So we've essentially doubled our science in the space of like 5 or 10 turns or so. So being 5 turns late, let's say, on that really wouldn't be the end of the world. We're definitely not in a great spot. Our capital is pretty terrible. Yeah. Our delayed city in Hamburg was also quite bad. And then settling a post-National College city is quite slow. It may prevent us from getting to Hermitage, which is quite important because we want to dump that culture into rationalism. So I'm not loving our position by any means. We've also been extremely greedy with our military. We've built 2 spearmen way back on...
turn 20-ish.
Yeah. 20 or 30. We haven't built anything since, but we're being greedy because we can afford to be greedy in this regard.
In this regard, yeah, definitely. Okay, so do we build 1 unit now and then finish the Riders Guild, or do we wait for the Riders Guild?
I really, really want my culture. So I think we go Riders Guild and then we can build a couple of units. We can afford a unit here.
So I think it's a crossbowman for us here, right?
So if we just go back and look at our capital, so I'm assuming that we're going to get attacked through our capital.
Yeah.
Are we settled on a hill? We're not, right?
We are not. We are settled on flat desert.
Yeah, okay. So if we put our 2 pikes on the 2 hills and fortify them, which is what we want to do because we get a combat bonus on rough terrain, and we also get a 20% bonus for fortifying for 1 turn and a 40% bonus for fortifying for 2 turns. We can't actually line up that many crossbows because our capital's not on a hill, and the tiles behind the hills are also not hills. So we can put 1 crossbow in the capital, and then we probably need another blocker unit south of Berlin, and then we can probably put some crossbows behind it. So yeah, we can definitely start with 1 crossbow. And I will say here, I think we did make a minor error deciding to tech for our ironworks so early. I think we could have built a couple of compos and spent some gold on them. We also still haven't even started that ironworks because Cologne's not ready yet. So just a small error there, I think. It's pretty unlikely that Celts are going to attack us. We have their religion, but they're sending all their profits that way. So we're going to get it again, and they don't have just war, do they?
And here we probably go with a knight or a pikeman.
So we definitely want to work our Riders Guild. I don't think I want a knight. If I had to guess, if we get attacked, the AI is going to have built a stack of Pictish warriors because they favor unique units, which means they'll probably upgrade them all into pikemen. So if I had to guess, we're probably, if it comes, it's probably going to be a lot of pikemen. So knights aren't going to be very useful. So I think I'm fine with either a pikeman or a crossbow.
Okay, we'll go crossbow then. Who wants to declare war? I don't think we do that.
No, I don't think we do that either.
Okay, so that's our first great scientist right there. What do we do with our scientist?
We want to hold our scientist until 8 turns after our next major science benchmark, which is going to be when we finish that. So the observatory in Hamburg. So 8 turns after that, we could decide to bulb if we wanted, and it would be the same amount of science if we waited until after our research labs. As long as the science contributes towards getting our next science benchmark, which would be public schools.
Okay.
100%. What I mean by that is someone on Reddit, someone did the math, and basically as long as your scientist is bulbing for close to the maximum amount of science from the previous science benchmark, and when I say the science benchmarks, I'm talking about the science buildings. So national college, universities, observatories, public schools and research labs. And as long as it contributes 100% of its science towards getting the next one earlier. So for example, if you had 1 turn left on scientific theory, you wouldn't want to bulb into scientific theory because it's not going to give you all of the science towards that school. It's only going to give you 1 turn's worth, which is going to be roughly like a 1/6 to an 1/8 of its science. The other thing we need to consider is our production. So if we bulb to schools, but we're not ready to build them because we haven't finished our factories, we've essentially just wasted that science. The short version is we're going to hold it for now, and then if we get to a point where we've got nothing to build, we can bulb it. If we do have plenty to build, which we're probably going to here because our production sucks, we can just hold it until 8 turns after our research labs.
Sounds good. Okay, so he just built Leaning Tower and founded the World Congress.
Yeah, even if we'd generated an engineer, we would have come up 1 turn short. Even if we had bulbed that scientist last turn and then immediately engineered it, we would have been same turned by the AI, which would have felt awful. This is definitely a slower game. I find I usually get leaning against the AI if I want it, although we didn't go through printing press. We're unhappy, and being unhappy now is quite a bit worse than it was before because we've opened rationalism. It's costing us science. It's costing us roughly 16 science per turn. So we'll just buy it for 9 gold straight up if you'll do that.
Okay, so what do we propose here? Obviously not cultural heritage sites, but
actually cultural heritage site is one of the ways to buddy with the AI.
Oh, okay.
So even though it only says that 2 people would be happy with us for that, often pretty much everyone likes culture. There's very few people that don't like culture. Like I think Babylon, for example, prefers science.
Okay.
The other one that you can do is arts funding. Literally everyone loves arts funding. So if we do this, we're pretty much guaranteeing we don't get wood. The other options that we would have is, are we still last in tech?
Nope, we're actually
Alright, so
yeah, we're still pretty much last. We're on par with the Iroquois.
by the time that the proposal came around, I think we may actually be close to first. So scholars doesn't actually help us here, scholars and residents. If we were having a really awful game, we could propose scholars and residents. A lot of the AI don't like scholars though, particularly if they're tech leader. Yeah, so Iroquois are quite bad. They're behind us, which means that they'll be happy. And then lastly, the other thing that you can propose is World's Fair. They all tend to love World's Fair.
Yeah, they do.
What's our production? It's close to last, right?
Yeah, it's actually average, but
it's actually
we're still a good chunk behind the Iroquois. But I think we may be able to get that at least a little bit ahead with Hanse. So I think we should wait on World's Fair.
So we can actually, the AI doesn't start World's Fair until they've finished whichever building or unit they're working on when it's passes. So what you can actually do is you can quite easily overflow. So the turn before World's Fair passes, you build a scout in every city, basically. And then you also generally pop your Golden Age, and you can also unwork what food you can to work a little bit of extra production. With all of those things combined, I've actually gotten World's Fair from last in production.
Oh, okay.
So you can actually sort of cheese it out.
That's going to require some handling.
Yeah, so we'd have to, when it comes up 20 turns from now, we'd need to do a little bit of micro. I think our options are either World's Fair, arts funding, because everyone liked arts funding.
Yeah.
So who liked World's Fair?
World's Fair was liked by France, Egypt, and the Iroquois, and arts funding was liked by everyone.
I think World's Fair is fine because France and Iroquois are two of the people that we're worried about. Celts would have been fantastic, but I think we can hold Celts if we have any problems.
Okay.
So I think we actually want World's Fair here.
Okay. So the crossbowmen will still get him down to the cap.
Yep.
We can actually start on our ironworks in the capital next turn.
Yep, that looks good to me.
And what do we build in Munich then?
So we could build another unit, for example, or I think the other choice we have would be to start amphitheaters towards
I think
Hermitage.
I think I like that more, at least for now. I don't see quite that many units here.
Yeah, and considering our workers are doing nothing, we can go and scout with our worker.
Yeah.
So I would even plant the worker, like even on the hill in between Dublin and Truro.
Yeah, sounds good.
Like there. We've got enough workers that even if we have to give one or two of them up, we're not too worried. So they might as well do some scouting for us.
We shouldn't do it with our Kievan worker though. I just realized.
No.
So we'll cancel this. There's our other here. That's our other Kiev worker. Okay. So Munich actually took this city, this tile, which I don't think is too bad, all things considered, right? Because it's something.
I think it's the best we can do.
Yeah.
Actually, the lumber mill's also finished.
Yeah.
So I think we can actually work the lumber mill here in Munich. And then that leaves that civil service farm for Cologne.
Okay.
All right. So we finished our workshop, which is great.
So we go for library here or for circus? I think library, right?
I'm considering whether I want a workboat for that one fish.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate we have to build it here. It'd be much nicer if we could build it elsewhere. But it's going to be a little bit of gold as well.
Yeah. I think that's decent. And then in workboat into library, maybe?
Yeah, as long as we can stay happy, I think it's workboat into library.
Okay, sounds good.
We may have even wanted to build that workboat a little bit earlier, but it's fine.
Printing press. Market?
Yeah, so we want to work the sugar over the mine here.
Yes, definitely.
And then I think I want the temple next.
Okay.
I still live in hope that we're going to get 670 faith.
And research. So I think it should be banking.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're basically heading towards industrialization here. Yeah.
So now we're working on the library. We should actually maybe be building a circus first, though, because we're only on one happiness.
I think what we actually do here is build the Colosseum to give us access to...
Yeah, fair point, obviously.
The circus costs no maintenance, and is it cheaper in production as well? I think it is. But if we build the Colosseum, we get access to a Circus Maximus, so I think we definitely want to do that. And we're not going unhappy yet. So the 21st population in Berlin is protected, and we've got one happiness left for Cologne. So I think we're fine.
Okay.
We would definitely want to prevent growth once we've opened rationalism to prevent us from going unhappy.
Yep.
And if we weren't so stretched for happiness, another thing that I'd really like to do is always be at least +4 so that when trades end, we don't go unhappy. Because we actually do lose the growth and the science every turn that happens.
Oh, okay. Do we want to work with this guy? I don't think.
I think again, because we don't know about their relationship with the Celts, I think we don't.
And they both wanted us to declare war on the other one, so I don't think we want to be friends here.
Yeah, so in fact we know that they don't like each other, so we definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah. I don't think but he only has 1 copy, so I don't think he's going to give it to... Oh, he will. That's actually great.
Quite unusual. I'm not sure why they're doing that this game.
I actually don't know either. We should start working on our Hanses, right? Or no, we can actually build a cargo.
Yeah, so I agree. Cargo first.
Yeah, I'll go into Hanse probably.
Yeah, probably. I'm just thinking, are we building a cargo ship or are we building a caravan?
I think at this point I'd rather have a cargo ship to trade with Kiev or even Laventa because they want it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. What's and that might be wow.
Yeah.
What's the excess food in Cologne?
Is 22.
It's actually pretty good. Yeah. All right. I'm definitely fine with that then.
Yeah.
A cargo ship. We don't need to send that a 3rd caravan.
So research is economics for sure.
Yeah, and then industrialization.
Yeah, pretty straightforward at this point.
I also noticed a Celtish musket, which is just worth noting. So we could steal armories and gunpowder from the Celts at some point if we wanted to.
Yeah. Okay. So we should send this to...
I'm actually thinking we're at the point where we can stop sending food to Cologne.
Yeah. Okay.
So how long until we go to our last civil service farm in Cologne?
9 turns.
All right. I think 9 turns is too long. I think we can buy that farm.
So do we actually delete the caravan and try to get another cargo ship out and trade to Laventa from Cologne?
I'm certainly considering it. So the first thing I want to check is that there's no inland city-state quests for cargo ships. Sorry, for trade routes. So it doesn't look like it. They'd definitely be too far away.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we can delete it and build a cargo ship.
Probably going to come out of our capital though, right? No, maybe actually still from...
I think Munich's actually struggling for things to build. So I think it's actually going to be Munich.
Yeah. Okay, so we got our first artist and we just save him for now, right? I'll just put them back here maybe.
Good trick for anyone who doesn't know is chuck them. If you chuck them in the water, they become pretty much indestructible. Here it's actually not great because we could get like 100 frigates turn up in one turn, particularly in multiplayer. The embarked units basically become combat units. They take damage like a regular unit. So it's often quite safe to put them in the water as well, or in like a lake if you've got like a 1-tile lake. But here I think we can just put it in Hamburg.
Put it in this lake maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Hamburg, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. It's 20 tiles for a cargo ship before compass, and then it's 30 with compass.
I somehow had in mind that it's 9 turns, 9 tiles. Okay. So do we go to Cologne and trade with Laventa because they've got the quest, or do we trade with Kiev from our capital straight away?
I like the little bit of faith that we're going to get from being friends with Laventa.
And choose production in Hamburg, market probably. I think that's...
I think we're not getting our garden, which is a little unfortunate. But one thing I will say, a single garden is not all that beneficial. Gardens are great, don't get me wrong. All right, I don't want anyone to think that gardens aren't really good. But a single garden out of 4 cities, because Cologne's not getting a garden forever, possibly literally ever, is not very impactful. Because the way the scientist spawns work, they come in waves, and getting a single garden's actually not really going to get you a scientist, an extra scientist. It will get you a scientist quicker, but because of how the spawn mechanic works, there's actually pretty much a fixed number of scientists that you're going to get in a game. By the time we get to info era, the next wave of scientists will be like 20 or 30 turns away, and the garden won't make the difference there. So just a note that because our production's quite low, we can't build them because we're not Indonesia and we don't have freshwater cities. We could actually build one in Berlin thanks to the Oasis, and that's probably worth it for the guilds.
Oh yeah, sure thing.
But
still after the Hansa, right?
Probably not, because we're not actually going to be trading with a lot of city-states yet. The garden in Hamburg, just for scientists, isn't so impactful here.
how exactly do the gardens work then? So they give 25 great people generation in this city, but like if they come in waves, it's like Berlin and then Hamburg and Cologne. I don't know.
So what I mean by that is if we looked at Berlin's already generated a scientist, right? So if we look at how long until it generates the next scientist, it's going to be a while. It'll be 17 turns. But if we look at our other two expands that have got our universities,
8 and 5.
Right. So when we generate those scientists, Berlin's scientist will get pushed back because the cost of the scientist will go up. And what that means is that once we generate the 2 extra scientists, one in Munich and one in Hamburg, Berlin's is like 20 plus turns away, and we'll actually find that we don't actually get an extra one.
Okay.
It's just, it'll get it earlier, but it won't get an extra one. Generally, I think we're actually going to have to build a Circus Maximus next turn in Berlin once we finish that Colosseum. So I think we actually, is there a 1-turn building that we can build that's useful? We could also purchase a pagoda, but that would be the end of our chance of getting a.
It's like seriously, it's all of our faith, but 2 faith points. So I don't think we should do that at this point.
No.
Okay, so I mean, we could build barracks in 1 turn.
I wouldn't mind a walls here in 1 turn.
Yeah.
I think we're possibly going to have to not grow for a second here next turn,
Yeah.
but we'll work that out when we get there.
Still, okay, that's the next one. So we'll give that to Berlin to trade with Kiev, right? That's the order of business here.
Yeah, so we just want, because there's no quest, we just want the highest gold. Yeah. We can check on the trade route screen, but it's pretty much guaranteed to be from the capital.
Available.
No, that's okay. If you sort it by gold.
Yeah, no.
And then, so it's the next one down.
Yeah, Berlin to Kiev. Yeah, that's the highest goal for sure.
Typically, trades with the AI are stronger than the city-states, but we obviously want to trade with the city-states.
Okay, so I think we go for university here.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we got 2 banana tiles, which makes them considerably better. Go for Circus Maximus here. We got 2 spare happiness, and we'll lose 3 happiness.
3. So, all right. Yeah. So what I would do is I would go to the city with the least amount of food. So 8, a lot, 9. So probably Hamburg. And I would unwork the 4 food tile and work the 3 hammer tile. And then I would unwork the... Yep. All right. And that's, if you just jump out, that's fine.
It's going to starve us, yeah, but only in quite some time. Okay.
Yeah, so we're only going to do it for like a couple turns as well, because we're going to grow. We're going to get that Circus Maximus pretty soon.
With the farm improved, it's actually giving us 3 turns, which is good.
And it's still a little bit fast. Our Circus Maximus is in 4 turns.
Yeah.
Can we get the Circus Maximus?
Could do it like this.
Or I'd be okay getting the Circus Maximus down as well. If we work the lumber mill over the freshwater farm here, does that get it in 3?
Nope.
And maybe a workshop over a farm.
We still need 4 more production here. We could. This was being worked.
I'd be okay with that. I think that's worth doing.
So changing the.
So rather than changing it from here, if you go to Munich, you won't get the bug.
Oh yeah.
So if you unwork that and then work whatever we've got, I'm trying to decide. Probably not the food. It's either 1 hammer or the market. This city's actually got pretty reasonable production. We've managed to get through most of the things we wanted to build, so I think the market's actually fine because there's a little bit of science on the market.
No, we don't
have secularism.
But next turn, so it's fine.
Yeah, and now we can work that lumber mill in Berlin. I think that'll do it.
Nope, 8.8 more. Okay, so this doesn't do it.
I don't think we can actually do it.
5.5. Yeah, I just thought maybe like this we could, but that is going to starve Berlin. Yeah.
The planes have got the hammer on them anyway.
Yeah, sure.
All right, that's fine. We can probably just delay. Yeah, this is fine. So unfortunately, I'd go and reverse all of that we just did.
Okay, so get this. Oh, okay, actually, cargo ship to Kiev, which actually Zurich would give us a little happiness and more gold.
It's also more exposed to barbarian.
Yeah, obviously.
So we have astronomy. So if anyone else has astronomy, the barbarians are going to have astronomy. Yeah, so there are frigates out on Iroquois, which is fine. We just
probably the Hansa here.
Yeah, definitely a Hansa.
And we can we now want to work the market since we're now going to unlock secularism.
Yeah, the market's a pretty bad tile, but we just don't have any other tiles. The market's the best option we have, but it's pretty rare that I'd be working a market this this early.
Okay, so I think we're going for industrialization right now.
Yeah, sounds good.
And
after all that micro we did, we went unhappy because of the trade. If you guys want to get really min-max oriented, if you go to the trade screen on F4 and then deal history in the middle, you can actually see which turn they're ending. So you can actually predict and account for that if you really want to get like super min-max. Like if you're playing for like the fastest space victory ever and stuff like that, you definitely do that sort of thing. We're just trying to hold on. So we actually want to work to the workshop now that we have secularism.
Yeah, obviously.
Because it's science.
So what shall do we not want to work this one?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
we actually should check all of our other cities and make sure we're working our workshops.
And we should start working on our university slots here, right?
Yeah, definitely. So we just finished.
Maybe we could do it like this.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so production's pretty much always the first thing you give up.
So I think windmill will come.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Nah, windmills are pretty much not worth it.
Oh, okay.
If you look at how much production a windmill is,
it's 167.
And then if you look at how much we get out of a windmill, so we get flat 2 plus 10%. So let's say we get 2, and how many modifiers have we got on our production if you hover over our current production? Only 10%.
Yeah, only 10%.
So depending on what we're building, sometimes that modifies more. So let's be super generous and say it's 50%, all right? So the windmill's going to be worth 2 base hammers plus 50%, so call it 3 base hammers plus 10%. So let's call that, let's say 10% of 50 hammers even, because our production is so terrible here. So that's another 5 hammers. So we're talking about 8 total hammers. And then if we look at how long it takes to pay back 8 hammers, how much was the windmill?
167. So 21 turns.
So 20 odd turns. 20 odd turns is not the worst because we will definitely pay it back. But what it also means is that our Hansa is going to be 5 turns later. Our garden is going to be 4 turns later, let's say. Yep. Our factory will be, say, 3 turns later. Our public school will be 2 turns later. And it only pays back right around the point that you finish your public school. Roughly, generally. Okay. And then we basically have like one more building to build. We're going to build our research lab. We will build an amphitheater, opera house, maybe armory, I guess. But basically what it boils down to is the production roughly breaks even, and the cost of delaying the buildings in the short term is greater than the benefit of breaking even. Yeah. And then once you finish your buildings, you get almost no benefit. You get three production per turn because you don't get the modifier for units. Okay. So
that's no to windmills then.
Yeah, so you basically don't build them. The only time that you may consider building them if you really desperately need the tile to work as freedom. So if we pick freedom here, and we're going to start thinking about our ideology because we're about to reveal and hopefully find coal. So the tile on the windmill is 3 food, 3 production, 1 food, 2 science, plus modifiers, which is a reasonable tile. I haven't really given much thought to whether we're going freedom or not. And while we are short on tiles, we're also short on population. So I don't think we actually are going to necessarily be able to work the tile.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's actually too beneficial to us.
So we'll just stick with the garden for now and send this to Berlin as food.
Yep, we definitely need to keep sending food. Yeah. I'm pretty okay going for the Hansa first because we need that production. Okay. And we're now trading with 2 city-states, so
that's 10%. Yeah, it's
starting to add up.
So here we finished our university and we're working the slots. So I think we should start on a market or a shrine maybe. I think market first in order to get to Hansa.
I think we need to go market Hansa. Yeah, the city's got a lot of catch up to do, so the production's priority.
Okay.
And that takes us to the industrial era. So thank you all for hanging out and watching. I hope you're enjoying the series. Again, if you've got any feedback, please feel free to leave it down below in the comments. If you're enjoying it, please leave a like. It helps promote the video and more people get to see it, enjoy it like you have been. So yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you then. Bye-bye.